Hello, welcome to another episode of the Fishy Fitness Coaching Podcast. This is episode 66. Thanks for listening. So this episode came about when one of my clients actually gave me this idea. So he messaged me out of the blue yesterday, basically saying he started listening to the podcast and he was enjoying the episodes, which is cool. He gave me some good feedback. He's in marketing himself, and he sort of has worked he has worked on podcasts before, I believe. So he gave me some good tips. Because one of the things I mentioned was I was just running out of things to talk about, basically, because I think most people would, right? After 65 episodes, I know a lot of it is about sort of repeating yourself, and sort of trying to explain it in different ways. But yeah, there's only so much you can talk about in this industry. I think I've covered. Obviously, no, I haven't covered everything, but a lot of the things I have covered. Anyway, and he gave me some ideas, and this one has come about because of that brief chat on WhatsApp. So this is going to be about getting jacked without using a gym. So is it possible? Is it possible to get jacked without joining a gym or without having to go to a gym? If it is, then what would I recommend? What do you need to do to build muscle, to get into great shape, to build the body of your dreams without setting foot in the gym? I think a lot of people assume that to get into great shape, they have to join a gym. They have to train in the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, smashing out loads of sets every single day, spending 2-3 hours in the gym. And for some people, it's quite intimidating. It can be quite an intimidating space. Not only that, it could be, gyms can be, not everyone lives close to a gym. Not everyone can afford to go to a gym. There could be loads of barriers which are stopping people from actually setting foot inside gyms, and that shouldn't mean that because of that they can't change their life. They can't get into great shape. They can't, transform their body and their life. So, the first thing to mention is, yes, it absolutely is possible to get jacked without using a gym. I think it's pretty obvious if you look back to lockdown, the amount of people who got into great shape without going into a gym, because all the gyms were closed, obviously. Well, most were. I'm an example of that. I got into probably one of the best shapes one of the best shapes I've ever been in during lockdown without going to a gym. I had a bit of equipment at home, but it certainly wasn't as much as you would see in a gym. So yes, it's definitely possible, because remember, you don't actually have to do anything to lose fat. To get into great shape, you have to do one of two things. You have to either lose fat and or build muscle. Probably need to do both. Most people will need to do both. But to lose fat, you don't actually have to do anything. You don't have to work out. You don't have to exercise. Losing fat all comes down to your eating habits. So you can create and sustain a calorie deficit without even having to move. Okay, so that's one thing that we can sort of tick that off already. Fat loss doesn't have to come from exercising or going to a gym. But to build muscle, to get into better shape, physical shape, and mental shape as well, you will need to do some sort of resistance training in order to put your muscle groups through enough mechanical tension for them to adapt. And for that, we need some sort of external load. right? This can be body weight. This can be dumbbells. This can be resistance bands. This can be barbells. This can be just literally stuff you can pick up at home. The amount of crazy stuff I saw on social media during lockdown when people were just trying to lift anything they could get their hands on was pretty, it's pretty inspirational, really. Like, there was people leg pressing their sofas. There was people doing pull-ups off their doors. I wouldn't recommend that, because if you're too heavy, you could literally rip the door off the hinges. So, but there was a lot of new ideas coming about because people had to just think on their feet. There was, they had to think outside the box. So if it's safe to do so and you can pick up something fairly heavy, you can use that as external load, which can be used to add load to, or add resistance to, a certain exercise. So you can get into awesome shape with just a couple of dumbbells. And you can pick them up quite cheap from Gumtree, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. A couple of 10 kilo, 12 kilo, whatever dumbbells, you can absolutely get jacked. You just need to think about what muscle groups you are working, which muscle groups you want the tension to be placed on, and then think about what movements you can do at home, which is going to put the tension onto the target muscle. So, for example, if we just thought about having two dumbbells, right? Two 12.5 kilo dumbbells, for example. I'll just quickly, off the top of my head, go through a full body workout, which could build lots of muscle all over your body. So let's start with quads. I would probably do a Bulgarian split squat. Hamstrings to glutes, I would do a Romanian deadlift, but obviously with just 12.5 kilo dumbbells, that equates to 25 kilos, which isn't much. So you would have to go very, very, very slow. You'd have to emphasize the length of stretch. So stretch the target muscle under load, and that's called stretch-mediated hypertrophy. So you would need to really slow down the reps. You'd need to basically go very, very high rep until you reach technical failure. Because it all comes down to the same thing. If you take a target muscle to near failure, it's probably going to adapt. And then if you can't increase the load, then you simply have to just do more reps. That's the only way of progressive overload that you'll get if you haven't got the space or the finances to buy more equipment. Right, so you'd have to just increase the rep range, or you'd have to increase the amount of reps you do. So anyway, hamstrings or glutes, Romanian deadlifts with dumbbells. Chest, front of the shoulders and triceps, I would do maybe some deficit push-ups, or you could do some pec flies just for the chest and front of the shoulders. Upper back, I would do bent over reverse flies. Again, taking each working set very close to failure. Yes, you may need to go very high rep for that, but it's still possible. Shoulders, I would do lateral raises. Biceps, you just do some bicep curls, and then triceps, you do some lying tricep extensions. So you've got basically most of your major muscle groups worked in that very simple workout. Do that twice a week. Lots of sets, lots of reps. Taking each working set close to failure, you'd hit each major muscle group fairly well, and that would lead to muscle growth. So simply doing that twice a week at home, just with two dumbbells, with a lot of focus on your nutrition, you could get into great shape. You can lose body fat and you'll build muscle. All right. So, and that's with two dumbbells. With just body weight, again, you can still do a couple of exercises with just body weight. Not as much you wouldn't get much variation. Just with body weight, you can do squats, Bulgarian split squats. You could do single leg squats, walking lunges. You could do a single leg hip thrust for hamstrings and glutes. Push-ups for chest, front of the shoulders and triceps. But when you're talking about doing back exercises, the only thing you can probably do for back is pull-ups. So you would need something to pull up from. And most houses, you're going to struggle to get something or find something strong enough and appropriate, I suppose, to do a pull-up safely. I think I was doing them. I remember during lockdown, I used to do them off. I had a fence in my garden. I was doing pull-ups from my fence, which is obviously not very comfortable because you're literally pulling your body up wood. So yeah, it's not very comfortable. Some people had like scaffolding beams placed precariously off certain things in their garden, which could be used for a pull-up bar. But again, I wouldn't recommend it unless it's very, very safe. But again, if you can afford a home pull-up bar, then again, a great addition to building your back and biceps. So yeah, I mean, again, we're talking very, very simple equipment here, like not much equipment's needed at all. And then if we introduce bands, like resistance bands, you can get them from Amazon for literally 20 quid. You can do bicep curls with them. You can do shoulder press. You can do lateral raises. You can do loaded Bulgarian split squats. If you stand on one end of the band and put the other end over your shoulders, you could do face pulls. You could do pull aparts, like, reverse flies. You can even do things like, remember when I got a backpack. I'm just filled it with loads of heavy stuff, was as heavy as I could, and I was doing step ups on my staircase, to work the glutes and quads. So if you think outside the box, there's lots of stuff in your house which you can use to get a great workout. Obviously, it will massively depend on what you can afford, the space you have, but most people will be able to afford a couple of second-hand dumbbells, and you can do a workout in your bedroom. You can do a workout in your lounge. You can do it outside in the summertime or in your shed, whatever, in your garage. Most people will be able to do that. So, yeah, to conclude, yes, it's very, very possible to get in awesome shape at home without a gym, with just a couple of dumbbells and a resistance band from your house. Remember, to lose body fat, you don't have to do any exercise. You just have to change your eating habits, reduce your calorie intake, create a calorie deficit, and sustain it. Eat high amounts of protein that will retain muscle tissue and reduce the body fat you have. And then to simply build muscle, build the shape you want, bigger arms, shoulders, chest, back, legs, whatever, glutes, you have to put each muscle group under high amounts of mechanical tension using external load, so body weight, dumbbells, resistance bands, and you can definitely do that at home. If you want any help, if you want like an example workout plan, which you can do at home with just a couple of dumbbells or a resistance band or resistance bands, let me know. I'm happy to send something over to you to use. And yeah, you can give it a go. Obviously, in gyms, you get far more variety. You get the benefit of meeting new people. Most gyms are very sociable. It's a good community. But obviously not everyone is lucky enough to be able to get to a gym. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to get into great shape. So I hope this helps. I hope this sort of clarifies a few things. Again, if you've got any questions or anything about anything I've spoken about, let me know and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll hope to speak to you soon. Cheers.